بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم اللهم انفعنا ما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا وزدنا علما. Inshallah, we will now be doing the book called Tasreef al-Izzi. Now, in the last book, Bin al-Af'al, we just went through the book, the basics. We started straight in, but here before we start the book, regarding Bin al-Af'al, the author is even disputed who the author is. But now Tasreef al-Izzi is very important to have an idea of who the author is, where he grew up, who his teachers were, his other works, which period he grew up in, because all this influences things. So let's say, for example, it wouldn't make a difference here, but let's say, for example, in fiqh, or let's say, for example, even in fiqh, is he Hanafi, is he Shafi'i, is he Maliki, how late did he come, so who is he influenced by, what period is he in, so all of these things are very important. The commentaries of this book, the most famous commentaries, so you can get an idea of which commentaries refer back to, who's discussed it, etc. So we're going to go through some of these things, inshallah. So the first thing is al-mu'allif. So allafa yu'allifu ta'lifan means what? To compile. So first we're going to discuss the mu'allif, who is the person who compiled this book. So his name is Abdul Wahhab. What's his name? Abdul Wahhab. His father's name is Ibrahim, and his grandfather's name is Abdul Wahhab. So probably his father named him after his own father. And he's from Zanjan. So because Ya'un Nisba, Zanjan, Zanjani, Makkah, Makki, Medina, Madani. So we have here Zanjani. So he's a Zanjani. Okay? Now, he's known as Izzuddin. So that's why this book is very, very famous book, almost like a standard textbook. And any person who does Arabic, start in Arabic, he'll do this, and it's a textbook. So that's why sometimes people call it Tasreef al-Izzi. So his name is Izzuddin. So Tasreef al-Izzi. Some people call it Tasreef al-Zanjani. Same book. Sometimes or two different books. I said Tasreef al-Izzi, not Tasreef al-Zanjani. Same thing. Tasreef al-Izzi, Tasreef al-Zanjani. His Tasreef, his book on Tasreef.
Oh, so you're saying his Izzi's Sarf, basically.
Izzi's book on Sarf, or Zanjani's book on Sarf. Okay, but the same person. If this one is named by this Zanjan, so this Zanjan is because the way he grew up. That's his locality and his area. And Izzuddin is Izzi because of his laqab. Okay, so he's known as Zanjani or Izzuddin. So based on this, you have Tasreef al-Izzi or Tasreef al-Zanjani. Where did he grow up? He grew up in Zanjan. Now Zanjan, if you look at it here, you have here Iran, and towards North Iran, you have close to Azerbaijan. Not close, but between Azerbaijan, Turkey, Spain, Iraq. So there's Zanjan. So he grew up there in Zanjan. And he died in Baghdad. So what they say, he grew up here. So if you look at it here, you have Zanjan here. So he was born here. He traveled to, there's three places they have. Mosul. First he went to Mosul, and then after he went to Baghdad. So those are the three main places where he stayed. So it was Zanjan, Mosul, and Baghdad. And then he died in Baghdad. So he traveled to these places. And Baghdad was the center of ilm. So he probably studied initially in Zanjan, he went to Mosul, and he passed away in Baghdad. Okay, so Baghdad was a very center of ilm. And his era was 655 Hijri. Okay, so to us it's about over 800 years ago. Pardon me? Yeah, he was there. When he was born, there's not much known about him actually. Just like his book. He's got a few books, but in terms of his actual life, he was a Shafi. He was good at literature, poetry, sarf, and nahu. And there's not much other information mentioned about him. But his book is well known, like one of the standard books in sarf. So he passed away in 755, so it's quite old, relatively old. Okay. 655 Hijri. He passed away. 65, and that's just roughly, because the last book he wrote, he finished in 654. So after 654 he passed away. Some say 655, some say a bit later. But you got a rough idea. So we know how early he is. Okay, so we know like... yeah, around 800 years ago. Okay. That's a bit of a blooper. Right, now he's wrote some other books as well. It's also good to know this because you can refer back to his, if you like his style, you can like go back to his other books. For example, like Birgwi. So I like his Awamil. So you know his other books. So Birgwi is also another book called Ishar al-Asrar. Commentaries. So if you person know his books, then you can use the other books if you want to. You also get an idea of what sciences he's good at. So he's got a commentary. So what happened is initially, there's a very famous scholar called Zamakhshari. So Zamakhshari known as Jarullah. So his Aqidah is a bit, certain things in there that people dispute with him, the Ahlul Sunnah Jama'ah dispute with him in terms of that. But he was very good in terms of literature. And he's on Jarullah. What does Jar mean? Yeah, neighbor. So why is it called Jarullah? Allah's neighbor.
He's close to him. Like he's probably the person closest to the Quran text.
Interesting. Because he spent a lot of time in Makkah Mukarramah. He went Makkah Mukarramah twice for Hajj, and then he just stayed there for like long periods, like 2-3 years. So he stayed there and teach. It's called Jarullah, the neighbor of Allah, Allah's house. It's called Jarullah Zamakhshari. So he is one science called Ilmul Urud. So Ilmul Urud, like poetry. So you have poetic meters. So when you have like a poetry, like how they rhyme and the patterns of poems and all that, that's called Ilmul Urud. Okay, what's that called? Ilmul Urud. So Zamakhshari's got a book. So Zamakhshari is very famous. Zamakhshari's got books in Nahwa. He's got books in literature, and he's got very famous tafsir called Tafsir Zamakhshari. It's called what's it called? I can't remember. It's called Tafsir Zamakhshari. It's called everybody knows Kashaf Al-Kashaf by Zamakhshari. It's one of the very famous book in tafsir. So he's also got a book called Al-Qistas. So Qistas is about poetry. So Zanjani rahimahullah, he wrote a commentary on that. He wrote Tashihul Miqyas fi Tafsir al-Qirtas. Okay. He's also got another book called Fathul Fattah fi Sharhi Marahil Arwah. So so again, you can tell he likes Sarf because Marahul Arwah is a very it's in the end of that book you got there, that Majmu'at Sarf. It's called Marahul Arwah. Marah means plains, meadows, and Arwah of the soul. So Marahul Arwah is the meadows of the soul. This is the name of the book. But this is one of a very detailed book in Sarf. So what did he write? He wrote a Shara on it. It's called Fathul Fattah fi Sharhi Marahul Arwah. Possibly if you get time we can do this book. It's quite an advanced book in Sarf. Okay, this has also got a lot of shuru on it. Also very. It's written by Ahmad ibn Ali ibn Mas'ud. So he wrote a commentary on that. I'm not sure if it's published or not. I've not come across it. But he wrote a shara on it. So this means he knew his stuff. And probably, so now we know this. So again, it's important to know which era he was in, what books he wrote. So now we know that many of his Sarf book, Tasreef al-Izzi, is probably have a lot of like a summary or it's based on the Marahul Arwah.
Well, in the other book, the other book, Tafsir book.
No, this book is poetry. Because Miqyas, I'm just saying about Zamakhshari, he writes tafsir, but it's called Fi Qitas, and Qitas is urud in poetry.
Okay.
So you get what I'm saying? So now you know, for example, he came before Ahmad ibn Ali ibn Mas'ud, and he wrote a shara on that. So it's very likely that a lot of the stuff in this book is probably taken from where? The Marahul Arwah. You get it? And that's also a very good book in stuff, but it's very long and detailed. Not very long, but it's long and detailed compared to the other books. He's got a book called Al-Hadi, and he wrote his own shara. He wrote Matan, and he wrote a shara on it. So he wrote Al-Kafi, Sharh al-Hadi. And it's a book in Nahwa and Sarf. It's been published recently. I've not come across it. Inshallah, next time I go to Egypt, inshallah, I'll try and get it. It's called Al-Kafi fi Sharh al-Hadi. It's 4 volumes. So again, it's a Zanjani. So you can tell he's written a lot in Nahwa and Sarf, and he liked that field. Okay? Now, Shuruh. What is Shuruh means Sharh, commentary. So this book has also a lot of commentaries. And this shows you how sometimes I guess Allah gives people qabul, acceptance. So his book is like certain books is have acceptance and people just use it, and it's like, for example, you could find, for example, you could take up technicalities. I know what he's mentioned this here. You could then a better heading, better title, better description, better abwab. But at the end of the day, Allah is giving qabul, Allah not giving us qabul. So his book is just accepting. Everybody uses it. Everybody putting commentaries on it, and that's why it's good to study. So they have a lot of modern books in English and Arabic and Urdu, etc. But it's good to study the original books. Or original meaning, not original, but the main earlier books. Why? Because they have many shuruh on it. So if you study Tasreef al-Izzi, like there's so many shuruh on it, so many commentaries. It's like the commentary, and even the commentaries of what's happened in the commentaries of Tasreef al-Izzi, people wrote commentaries of the commentary of Tasreef al-Izzi. You get what I'm trying to say? You get it? So it's like so you can get a lot of information from these books. So it's good to go out to the original books. So it's not the original, but it's a makhdum. Meaning it's been treated well. Meaning it's been served by people who have written commentaries on it, people who have taught it, people who have written hasha and footnotes on it. So it's a very good book. I remember this name. You guys haven't been introduced to these names yet, but Sa'aduddin of Taftazani. Sa'aduddin Taftazani in terms of aqidah and mantiq. He's written like he's like up there, top scholar. In terms of aqidah, mantiq, Sarf, he's even got hashas and Zamakhshari, so he's got everything on top of there. he's written commentaries on. His commentary, like even Balagha, he's got books. In Balagha, he's got all these languages top. So Sa'duddin al-Taftazani is a really, really good scholar. Yes? So you come across a lot of his books. So for example, in Aqidah, we do Shar Aqidah Nasafiyya. So he's got a hashiyah on that. When it comes to the Balagha, so you got Al-Mutawwal. Shara of Talkhis, so he's got a shara on that, and his shara on Zanjani, people wrote sharas on his shara, commented his footnotes on his. I'm not gonna, even a list of all of those in your book. Okay, another name you need to know as well is Jurjani. So Jurjani is the first person who wrote the Awamil, the whole idea of Awamil and governing party, because he came up with that. He came up, but he really kind of codified it. He was one of the primary people. And the other people came after. So Birkri followed his. So in many things, Jurjani. So when he says Sharif, when he says Sharif, everybody knows he means him Jurjani. When he says Sa'd means Sa'duddin al-Taftazani. And both of them done a commentary on Things book, Tasreef al-Izzi. Okay, but they both at the same time, and they had a bit of a competition and had a bit of arguments, etc. So maybe one wrote a shara and said, "I'll write a better one than you." Wallahu a'lam. But both of these, so Sa'duddin al-Taftazani and Sharif al-Jurjani, these are very, very important scholars to remember. Okay. Yes, and another one as well, Ali ibn Sultan Muhammad al-Harawi. So he's known as Mullah Ali al-Qari. Mullah is like an Urdu name, but it's from Afghanistan. So originally he's Harawi. So Harawi is from Herat in Afghanistan. So for some reason, I'm not sure why. He's not too old. He's not, meaning he's passed away now, but in terms of maybe about 1200 or so, roughly around that time. So maybe 200, 300 years ago. So a lot of his books are quite recent. Again, he's also a very famous scholar, especially for Hanafis. He's a very famous scholar. And he done hijrah too, from Afghanistan, he moved to Makkah. So there was, I don't know the whole reason, but behind in Afghanistan that time, there was probably some reason he migrated to, with his father to, he migrated with his father to Makkah. And he stayed in Makkah. And I've read somewhere, but I'm not got tahqiq, I'm not sure. But do you know the 20-line mushaf that we have?
No.
Yeah, the 20-line mushaf. So something that that's his. Like now he put the surah, the ending, the Jews and all that, the Jews and everything. So he used to write for his income. He used to write the mushaf. So he used to write the mushaf and he used to sell the mushaf. He used to write 1, 2, 3, 4 copies a year and sell it. That's his income. So the structure he's put in there, the page where it starts and stops. Some have said that's his work, but I've seen it somewhere written some places. People have mentioned it, but I'm not sure. Possibly I'm wrong on that one. If anybody knows, you can correct me on that one. But that's what I said. So he's also written a few books on. Mishkatul Masabih, with the hadith book that many of us don't understand. He's doing a shara on that. So he's also got shara on Tasreef al-Izzi. So you can see that many great scholars have done a shara on Tasreef al-Izzi. So that's why it's good. So this book, Tasreef al-Izzi, because you will find many commentaries on it. So you can, anything you don't understand, anything you get stuck, explanation, detail, you'll find the commentary in there. You following? And as we always do before a book, we need to know the layout of the book. If you don't know the layout of the book, what's going to happen? You just start. It's like you're going to the Amazon and you don't know where you're going. If you got overview in a map, if you're going hiking, where do you want to have a view? You know where, you have to have bearings. Where's north, where's south, where's the main. So when you start doing everything, you know where you are, okay? Now, these things, he hasn't mentioned, this is my own thing. So he's not said, muqaddimah, he's just gone on like this, right? But I've made this, I've put Babi myself, so it makes it easier. So what I'm saying, I'm doing this, I'm like, I don't know, like, it's like footnotes, one footnote, like hasha. So I'm saying he's got one muqaddimah, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 babs and 1 khatima. He's not calling it bab or khatima, I'm saying it myself. So in the first section, what does he do? He discusses what? He discusses introductory matters. In there, he discusses what is ilm tasreef. Yes? The first, that's number 1. Then he discusses types of verbs according to root letters. Amidif bin al-afal, what are they? 2 types are? Thulathi, ruba'i, and the thulathi will have how many types? Thulathi will have how many types?
2.
2 which 2? Mujarrad mazid fi. Rubai will have also what? Mujarrad and mazid fi. That's the first, second thing. And third thing discusses, very brief at the end, he discusses verbs according to lazim mutaddi. He discusses fi'l lazim, fi'l mutaddi. Then after that he says, well, all the thulathi and rubai, you have to conjugate them. You have the tasreef of these amthala. So amthala means patterns and sighas. So then he goes through madhi, mudari, and then amar. So the main one are madhi, mudari, and amar. But whilst he's discussing mudari, he discusses how to make mudari negative. Ma, la, lan. Awas, alam. And whilst he brought lan and lam, he also discusses well, nawasim and jawazim. what makes a fi'l mudari' mansoob, what makes a fi'l mudari' majzoom. So he goes off a bit, a slight digression there. After amr, he discusses a few other rules, like idgham, not idgham, but like where, for example, dhalama becomes idhalama, sabara becomes istabara, why the ta into ta, a few rules like that. Then he discusses noon tawqeed. Discusses what? Noon tawqeed at the end of the verb. La yaf'alanna. How do you conjugate a verb with noon tawqeed? And then at the end, he goes on to the ism fa'il, ism maf'ul. So this has basically 1, 2, 3, madhi, mudari, amr, and then ism fa'il, ism maf'ul. So these are the main. These are what? These are the main. What? These are the main sections in here. Okay, you got it? Right. Second bab. Third bab is second. So the second bab is what? Mudha'af. What is mudha'af? Double letter. And here it explains the rule of idgham. There's no headings in there. This rules of mudha'af. So thulathi, mudha'af, ruba'i, mudha'af, and then the rules of idgham. Okay. Then after it goes to mu'tal. The mu'tal means it has a what in it? A weak letter. So then he goes through 7 types of mu'tal. Mithal ajwaf naqis. We did that already. Lafif mafroof, lafif maqroon. Then this doesn't really happen much, but he mentioned these 2 at the side as like, so when we did aqsamus as-sab'a in bina al-af'al, the 7 types. We have what? Sahih, mudha'af, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes?
You missed that mahmouz.
Mahmouz. So these, you don't really, so these come together as 1. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 and 7, right? Yes? But he's also mentioned mu'talul fa and ayn, with the fa and ayn both are harful illa, where mu'talul fa, ayn and lam, all 3 are harful illa, but this is very rare. But he discusses that anyways, nonetheless. So you have mudha'af, then you have mu'tal. After mu'tal you have what? Mahmouz. How many types of mahmouz are there? 3. Mahmouz fa, mahmouz ayn, and mahmouzul lam. But then after that he also discusses mahmouz when it comes with a mu'tal. Let's say for example, ra'ah. It's got a ra, sahih, hamza, and a ya. So he explains the rules of those. And then right at the end, he explains zaman, ismul zarf, when it says makan, zaman, ismul ala, ismul marra, and ismul hay'a. So he discusses these. So he's not mentioned these as abwab, as such. Like he's not saying, oh, babul awwal, babul thani, but abs at the end, so we can keep a mind map of where we are. So this is how the book is laid out. You got it? So muqaddimah, and here's 3 main points. And tasreef al-amsala, all of these thulathi, ruba'i verbs, how do you make the madhi, mudari, amr, and ism fa'il, ism maf'ul. Then after that, how do you conjugate them when they're not sahih, when they're not salim, when they're mudha'af, mu'tal, or mahmouz. And at the end, he discusses some isms. Apart from ism fa'il, ism maf'ul, well, not as common as these, the zaman, makan, ala, marra, and hay'a. Does that make sense? You got an overview of how the book works, how the book is laid out? So it's very important. We start from here. What is ilm tasreef, what is ilm sarf, and all of that, inshallah, bit by bit. Okay? Any questions? No? You got it? Okay, subhanallah, bihamdi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.